Hi everybody, welcome back to Watch Time. I'm pleased to say I'm starting to make videos more frequently because I actually have something to talk about. Before we start talking about this watch here, this is the watch I'm wearing today. This is a Perry Ellis fashion watch. It's in the Royal Oak sort of homage style. It's very thin, less than a pound coin I would say. Goes under the cuff nicely. Leather strap, sorry. So, very cheap, but looks fairly alright. So, in my opinion anyway. So, back to the sort of topic of today. This is a Olevs watch. And many of you will be here because you'll have seen this or purchased this on Amazon. It's not actually where I got this particular piece from. I didn't get it from Amazon, but I would say that's probably the most common retailer. This brand seems to be popular because they make a lot of homage watches. So clearly this is paying homage to the Rolex Submariner two-tone blue dial, blue bezel, which is sort of colloquially referred to as the bluesy. So let's talk about, first of all, what is similar between a Rolex and this. Well, quality, no, but appearance, yes. First of all, Mercedes hands, a Cyclops with fairly similar font to the Rolex date. We have a unidirectional bezel with an imitation pearl at the zero. The bezel's okay, does work. We have loomed pips, so you can see it in the dark. We have a two-tone oyster style bracelet. Although the clasp is very different to a Rolex clasp. We have just a snap-on back. We have a gold-coloured crown. So as far as that goes, there is quite a lot similar. It shares those qualities with a Rolex. Also, a bit cheekily, for their brand, they've used a crown, which, as you'll all know, the famous Rolex crown. It's sort of a little bit taking the mick, that, but anyway. It says here, it's a dazzling quartz watch, which is a very poor choice of adjective in my opinion. It sort of sounds like a poor Chinese translation, I would say. But I suppose the point that we could take from that is it's a quartz watch. Rolex don't make quartz Submariners, so that in itself is an inaccuracy. But it does bring the price down. So for this particular piece, I paid £20, which is not a lot of money for a watch by any standards, in my opinion. Bearing in mind the real thing is many thousands. And the positive points are, well, going back to the movement, it's a reliable, perfectly decent quartz movement, so it'll tell the time pretty accurately. The bezel actually works, it functions, so you can use it for timing things. So there it sets. The date works as it should. So with those 3 points there, it's a functioning, useful tool. It is a watch. Now, the other thing is, it's quite nice, is it does have a crown guard here, which makes the watch look correct. And, you know, let's be honest, it does protect the crown. Not that it's a particularly valuable crown, but it does. The bracelet is pretty comfortable. It's very light, and as you can probably hear, it's a little flimsy, not particularly flimsy, but a little bit. The clasp is good. It hasn't went absolutely to the most cheap option here. It does have a release. It does have a button rather than just being pulled. That's quite good. It stops it from coming open too easily. It does have micro adjustment here and here. It's got a fairly nice and detailed dial. Not valuable again, but it's done quite nicely. The bezel is quite nicely done too. It's not really a problem with it. So I would say, to be honest with you, for £20, is it worth the cost? I would say yes, it is. Because regardless of it not being up to the quality of the Rolex, for £20 it is definitely good quality. So in theory you could save a lot of money by having this rather than a Rolex. However, the bad points are, of course, if you're into real mechanical watches, so to speak. Obviously this is a quartz, so that's not really much good for you. Because it's a cheap watch, the bezel isn't extremely accurate. As you can see here, to get it to really fix on a point, you have to turn it to point A and then slowly take the slack out of it to get it to be really accurate. So it's a little bit slack, the bezel, but I've seen much more expensive watches be worse. The other thing that's really lacking compared to a Rolex, obviously, is the bracelet quality. It's very hollow, and the more modern Rolex Submariners are very substantial bracelets. So the bracelet is a bit light, a little bit flimsy, but again, not bad at all. I suppose for me the biggest drawback is it states here that it's a stainless steel, unless I'm incorrect. Yeah, so it is stainless steel. That's good. I was worried that it might just be a stainless steel back, and in which case this would have been base metal here and it would have just slowly lost its colour and turned terrible. So that's good. It's stainless steel at least. I think perhaps the biggest drawback with this is, considering that it's a Submariner, a watch for somebody who works in a submarine, in other words, a diving watch. This is only water resistant to 3 atmospheres, so it basically isn't water resistant at all, really. So it is completely for fashion. It's obviously, it tells the time, it tells the date, but it has no diving application whatsoever. So it, unsurprisingly for its price, it is just a fashion watch. If I'm honest, I would say that considering this is only £20, it doesn't do any harm. It's not a fake. It is heavily homaged. So it's, you know, some people don't like that, but I think considering the little price, I think you get a little sort of, potentially a little flavour of what it might be like to have a Submariner in your collection. So my personal opinion is, considering the price, I would go for it. Just give it a go. It might give you the sort of desire to get the real thing, to experience the real piece. But I think as a beta watch, or just to give you the feel of the, you know, the Rolex design, I would recommend this. I have been wearing it as well. As you know by my other videos, I have had Rolexes as well, so I know the difference in quality. Obviously this does not compare, but it's definitely good enough to use every day and to get the same feeling of a tool watch. Not that you can use it to dive, which is unfortunate. So that was my sort of off-the-cuff review. Just sort of throwing thoughts out at the video. Let me know what you think below. Let me know if you have one of these watches, and I will see you all next time.